Gary Parker, your teacher. I want to show you the course online. So the best way to access the course is from the course homepage. When you get to the course homepage, you'll see recent announcements at the top, and usually there'll be 1 to 2 announcements each week. After that is some general stuff. So tutorial hours and links on how to get there, online tutoring through Zoom with me, syllabus quiz. So you should read the syllabus and then take the syllabus quiz this week. You're going to have to write a lot in this course. You're going to do hardly any algebra. You're going to write about the calculations we do. And most of the calculations are just arithmetic, where we plug some numbers into a formula. Once in a while, we'll use a spreadsheet to make calculations, or we'll use some app like StatKey. Useful websites are places like Google Sheets, which we'll get to in a moment, and StatKey, which I mentioned a moment ago, which goes with our textbook. Now, speaking of the textbook, you should get the textbook. So here's the textbook right here. This is the 3rd edition. I highly recommend you buy it. You can get it through the BMCC bookstore. The previous edition is okay. I prefer you get the paper book. Why? Because we have way too much screen time, right? This is the screen and this is time on the screen. We need to minimize our screen time in this new world of COVID, where almost everything is online, although we'll have some real stuff soon. Other thing, whether you do the online book or the paper book, take good notes. So you should write down what chapter you're in, what section you're on, and the key concepts, and maybe some examples you write down from the book too. Taking good notes is important. So in this class, you got to read the book, you got to take notes. All right. In addition to reading the book, I've got a bunch of videos. So I have a bunch of videos I recorded this last year or this year, 2021, and I have a bunch of videos based on this course last year, different books, same stuff. So there's a ton of videos in there. These are linked throughout the course, individual videos and the playlists. There's data that we're going to play with, and I have them stored in my Google Drive. You can grab them here. You can grab them from the textbook also. And then there's descriptions of the data set. And the descriptions are important because when you see a title like happiness, what the hell does that mean, right? You got to look up the description to get a description of what that means. Or GDP, what does GDP stand for? Look up the data set description. So we can't really talk about data unless we know what it means. Descriptions are important. Usually when you get a table of numbers, it's a title, not a description. We need descriptions too. So there's some very important links here we're going to come back to every single week. If you're not familiar with Google Sheets, you'll see how to use them in my tutorial videos. I also have a link here to Google's tutorial on how to use Google Sheets, which is like Excel, but it's online. If you prefer Excel or Office 365, that's cool. It's your call. My preference is Google Sheets. Let's go home here. So again, general stuff, these are things that you'll probably need each week. Syllabus up here. If you want to meet with me on Zoom, how to do that here. What I expect about writing from you here. If you're new to Google, how to share a Google Doc or a Google Sheet. And then you're going to tell me about yourself. And then this water cooler is a discussion forum for you all taking the class, not for me. So if you want to write questions to each other and answer each other, that's what the water cooler is for. So I highly recommend you use that, get some kind of community going. In a course like this, it's really helpful if you have somebody to talk to. So if it's not in person talking to or on the phone talking to, then you can get a discussion forum in the water cooler. All right, the rest of the course is organized by weeks. Each week will have goals, videos, practice, reading quiz, and an application. And then sometimes I'll throw some other important pages in there too. Like there's a data collection survey that you're going to do here. So if you're used to accessing Canvas from the dashboard and your to-do list, you could miss out on a ton of important stuff like the videos and the data collection and some important tutorial pages on how to get stuff done. So very important, go to the home page to access things in order. Week 2, you'll see is pretty similar. Goals, videos, practice problems, quiz, application. Week 3, goals, video, practice, quiz, application. Same thing every week. There's essentially 4 or 5 assignments each week, right? You got to read the book. Goals tell you about what you're going to read about. You got to watch the videos, you got to do the practice, you got to take the quiz, you got to do the assignment. All right. So some other things about that. Again, the goal is pretty straightforward. I just summarize what you're going to read about in the sections assigned for this week. This week, we're going to read chapter 1, week 1, and section 2.1, categorical variables. There's a little navigation at the bottom. When you're in the home page, data collection survey, take the survey. We'll use that data later. Videos, a little bit. This is the playlist from last year. Orientation, which I'm doing now, what is statistics, and then the content from the different sections, samples, data, and variables, some information about the homework, more about populations and samples, explanatory response variables, and so on. So they're pretty much in order of the way you're going to read stuff in the book. So read the book, watch the videos, then jump into the practice problems. The practice problems you can repeat over and over again. You get 3 chances on each problem. After the 3rd try, if you get it wrong, you're shown the right answer and you get to do a new similar problem. Important thing about this right here is if you're working on a problem and you try it a few times and you're just not getting the right answer, hit message your instructor. Up will pop a message directed to me and it'll tell me the problem you worked on here. And up above you'll write, I tried, and you tell me whatever you tried, blah, blah, blah. And then send it on to me. And then I'll know you wrote to me because I'll get a little response. And then when I write back to you, this little mailbox icon over here will light up with a little red dot that says, hey, you have 1 message, which means I wrote back to you, or maybe you have 2 messages or whatever. This message system related to the homework is different than the Canvas inbox. So when you're working on practice problems, I highly recommend you use the message instructor, and then you can check your messages from the messages box over here in the upper right. Again, different from the inbox. Nice thing about this is when I get the message from you, I see the question that you saw, anything you typed in the box, and I see each try that you did so I can kind of guess what was going wrong, and I see the message you wrote to me. That'll help me write back to you and help you figure out what's going on better. And I can point you to the book or a video or just type up some helpful tips to you. And again, if you get something wrong, like suppose you answer it and it's incorrect, you get 3 tries and you can always get a similar question. And then you can try it again. So you have the potential to get 100% on the practice problems. All right. The quizzes are based on the reading. You should only do the quizzes after you've read the book, after you've done all the practice problems, and after you've watched the videos. Then take the quiz. You get 1 shot on each question. The questions come straight out of the book. Read the book. Application. The application's where you kind of put it all together, where I give you a real problem based on some real data, and then you're going to tell me things about the data. It's important when you answer these questions that you write in full sentences so that I don't have to guess what you're talking about. You want to be as descriptive as possible. When you write these, think about your writing to me, your teacher, and maybe your mom who doesn't know about as much statistics as you do at this point. So here's where we kind of put together what we learned in the practice, read in the book, and watched in the videos into some real problem that you're going to write about to me. And generally, there's lots of writing in these. So you're going to write at least a paragraph, maybe more per application. And they get a little harder as we move along through the course. Generally, you're going to submit your applications as a Google document and maybe a Google spreadsheet too. This week's application will just be a Google Doc where you type up some responses based on a problem that I present to you. All right, what else can I mention? Again, the practice problems, you have the potential to get 100% because you can redo every problem. The quizzes, you only get 1 shot at, so you really want to be ready for those. So read the book, take good notes, be done with the practice, have 100% on that. The applications, they're a little harder. You only get 1 submit. However, once I give you feedback, within a week, you can resubmit. So you do get a redo on applications. So practice problems, redoable until the due date, you can get 100%. Quizzes, do the best you can, you get 1 shot. Applications, you submit, do the best you can. I give you feedback, you can resubmit within a week for the application problems. After 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, we'll have our first exam, and then we're going to pick up with a different kind of statistics. The first part is kind of descriptive statistics with a little bit of probability, and then after that, we get to the meat of the course, which is inferential statistics. How do we use data to make predictions about what's going on in a population? And that's what this course is really all about. And that's the last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks of the course. And then the final week is just a little practice along with the final exam. And that says week 11, but that should be really part of week 10. In the summer, we have 10 weeks instead of 11, like fall, winter, and spring. All right, again, I am Gary Parker. It's good to meet you. I will see you soon online or email or something like that. Have fun with statistics. Ta-ta.